Franklin and Gustavo previously devised a plot on Snowfall Season 6, Episode 8. And Joseph, Uncle Jerome, makes his directing debut with this episode. In the end, Teddy and Ruben were captured by Franklin and Gustavo. Additionally, everyone is required to either disclose their cards or call someone else's bluff in light of last week's catastrophic turn of events. Louie, Teddy, and Ruben are with Franklin, again caught up in the moment. Always thinking ahead, Franklin waited for Louie to assist with his scheme to set her up with a DEA raid, calling her to warn her as they were approaching. She then goes to Buckley, her final ally. He drives her away and demands half the money after she claims to have a property near Ojai with cash and passports hidden inside. When Buckley pulls over to pee after they have traveled quite a ways from the city, a fearful Louie grabs his gun and demands his pager. When she checks his pager and sees that Jerome did page him on the day Kane and his men had her in the warehouse, she realizes that her fear was justified. He realizes there is no house or money after she grabs his keys at gunpoint and reveals that this was always her plan. Teddy and Ruben are being held as hostages by Franklin, shackled to chairs with bags over their heads, and they are both utilizing all means at their disposal to stay alive while still performing their objectives. An incensed and hurt Sissy learns from Ruben that he taped their entire talk at the museum with Franklin. These tapes are available to the KGB, and as a result, they have proof of all of Franklin's misdeeds. He threatens to disclose the tapes if he doesn't report back to his superiors within 24 hours until she releases him and gives him Teddy. She asks Teddy about Alton without hesitation since she is unsure of what to do next and promises to make sure things go quickly for him in exchange. Teddy is treated the worst because he has the most important information. Teddy is treated like a spoiled child by Franklin at first, and Teddy is given some time before the banks open the following day to reflect about his life and decide whether or not he wants to continue living it. Teddy must transfer the funds before the next morning or Franklin will kill them. Teddy tells Franklin to be sensible, as if anything has been fair, reasonable, or sensible. But that's not the only issue. Teddy and Franklin have been playing by two separate sets of rules throughout their time together, and Teddy is unable to imagine things any other way. Teddy, who has stood in for the government and the man as a whole during the entire series, is unable to accept his situation without a fight. Teddy speaks to Sissy and Franklin as though they would always be inferior to him and their lives are unimportant in comparison to the greatness of his America, even though the possibility of death is staring him in the face. Do you really truly grasp the agony and anguish your actions have caused? Sissy questions him once she notices it first. Or do you just see it as movements on a chessboard? Teddy attempts to understand what she is talking about, but she explains it to him by saying that he is a government official who is flooding the streets with cocaine. Teddy asserts, "You cannot hold that against me if these crackheads lack the self-control to refrain from endangering their lives. What planet do you inhabit?" Then he has the audacity to attempt to demonize her by inquiring as to her activities aside than laundering Franklin's money. Sissy, who is unable to tolerate Teddy's contempt, gives up on trying to reason with him and makes the following vow to him. "I can only find comfort in knowing that you will die here, and you will never touch a member of my family again." Teddy's intellect cannot process anything that does not fit with his views, which is obnoxiously clear. It's impressive how the writers of this episode developed this relationship through Franklin and Teddy's dialogues, starting with their individual disagreements before moving on to bigger themes. Teddy resists Franklin's repeated attempts to torture him into providing his account details by depriving him of water and making him play Russian roulette. But Teddy is aware of how desperately Franklin wants his money. They discuss their past during the torture, starting with the time Teddy kidnapped Leon and him in Season 2 and the beginning of their relationship. Franklin admits to Teddy that he was duped as he gets older, wiser, and more responsible. And Franklin lets it be known that while these subtle clues regarding Alton might be effective with his mother, they are ineffective with him. Teddy had told Sissy that Alton was alive and being held in a Puerto Rican prison for further leverage. Franklin is focused on winning and is more aware than ever of the game they are playing. Sissy tries to persuade Franklin to stop torturing Teddy, turn him over to the KGB, and let them handle it. Franklin claims that the Carnegies and the Rockefellers were killers just like he is, but his change into a vicious leader has left him with permanent tunnel vision. These two instances succinctly illustrate the contrast between Franklin and Sissy. Sissy prefers to uphold her integrity and protect her people, but Franklin's greatest goal is to possess the resources and authority that the white man possesses. He also has no problem playing dirty. Franklin doesn't hear Sissy or Leon when they warn him that he is entering hazardous and horrible land. With his better half, who is up and moving around despite the pain from the previous episode, he amps things up. After learning from the bank that one of their mortgage checks bounced and they are now officially out of money, Veronique is just as driven as Franklin. They confront Teddy together, this time using heated oil that is about to boil. Teddy is at his most vulnerable and raw when Teddy calls Franklin an animal and continues to pour the grease down his neck and chest, even though, as Franklin points out, he is the one who caused this. Franklin accuses Teddy of being a liar and questions why he needs his modest income when the Pentagon spends hundreds of billions of dollars on defense every year. Franklin needs to be kept in check. It's not about the money or the communists. It's not your money, Teddy finally yells. Everything you have is because I allowed you to have it. There it is then. Teddy's innate need to uphold what he perceives as the world's natural order drives all of his activities. The best way to put it is how Franklin puts it. You wanted me to feel like nothing, because you are the protagonist of your own tale. The character that most resembles you always prevails in stories. However, not this time. Franklin is flipping the script on their dynamic by calling Teddy that when he is in this position. Teddy's greatest fear will be realized when Franklin kills him there and then. He will die insignificantly and become not even a blip on the radar of history. Teddy finally gives in after hearing Franklin's side of the story and offers Franklin half of the money in an escrow account before they part ways. Franklin genuinely consents, and together they decide on the conditions. With Stephen Habemeyer, Teddy's handler, they will choose a well-known location, complete the final transfer, and then separate from one another. Franklin gets ready to get his money after he hands Franklin the account numbers from his wallet. Sissy is adamant about going with them to get the money even though she despises the thought of letting Teddy go and thinks it's too good to be true. After the handoff, she asks her son whether he's comfortable with never seeing her again, and he replies that he can. At the prearranged meeting location, Sissy, Franklin, and Teddy meet Stephen. Franklin breaks his promise to bring Ruben because he is understandably suspicious of anyone who is connected to Teddy. Franklin claims he will hand over Ruben in exchange for money or a deal with the FBI. While Teddy is on the phone with the bank on a payphone, Sissy queries about the prison Teddy put Alton to. Teddy accuses Sissy of lying and claims that Teddy himself double-shot Alton to death. Teddy is ready to give the bank his password when Sissy turns around and shoots him, instantly killing him. It's too late for Franklin to keep him alive long enough to get the password. In line with her vow to Teddy that he wouldn't ever touch one of her family members again, Sissy goes to her knees and allows the police to take her into custody.